I had one of our prospective students write in and they were talking about attending a product owner class. And then I found out that they were a small business owner. And one of the questions that they had was about customer loyalty and keeping customers coming back and why customer loyalty is just so important to being profitable and what they could do to make sure they make the connection. So, when it comes to making sales, it's really all about one thing customers who want to buy. They want to buy what catches their eye right then and there at that moment. And if you've got it for them, that's convenience, just plain and simple. Let's roll. But think about it. Why does that model work so well? Could it just be because the sales associate's job is to make life easy for the customer? Well, yes. Their job is to deliver convenience, but guess what? That's also the job of a product owner or a product manager. Whether you're a product manager, developer, or UX designer, your ultimate job is to deliver an experience that captures what the customer desires right in that very moment. It may not seem obvious at first, but think about it. When you're part of a product team, whether you're designing, developing, or managing the product's launch, you're not just building something. Every product decision you make, every feature you add, shapes the way the customers will feel when they use it. So it's not just about getting something into their hands, it's more about making sure it immediately impacts their lives and fits where it needs to be. And that's the real product you're offering, the experience that meets customers' needs in that moment. That's why, as a salesperson, your job goes beyond just selling a product. It's about offering a service that feels convenient and never overwhelming. So, while the product matters, the experience of getting and using that product is what matters even more. That's what sticks with the customer. So, you're not just closing a sale, you're building a relationship of trust by making their lives feel easier. And if you're in a product or marketing situation, um, if this doesn't sound familiar, it should. This is a core principle for optimizing customer experiences. Some people are referring to this now as CX or customer experience. And with CX, it's not just about building a product, it's about creating satisfying experiences that make the customer feel like everything just works, everything clicks. The example I love to use here is a trip to Walt Disney World. When you are in the parks, you could be as frustrated as you want to be, but man, you can't help but notice how everything just falls right into place. Everything clicks. Everything is just perfectly where it needs to be when it needs to be there. It's that operational and organizational efficiency that comes from them using Agile that makes that happen. So, delivering convenience, creating seamless experiences, making things easy for the customer. That's what builds loyalty. That's what keeps people coming back. When customers feel like you've made their lives easier, they remember that and they remember you. So I have a friend who's a UX designer, and we were talking shop the other day, and he shared a story from his college days when he worked at a 7-Eleven. Of course, he took the job just for the money at the time, but he admits he learned very important lessons there that still applies to all of his UX work today. He realized that running a successful 7-Eleven store isn't just about selling the most products, it's about selling to the same customers as often as possible. He referred to these people as super customers. So his boss at the time, I'm just going to refer to him as David, the owner of that 7-Eleven, worked at several other 7-Elevens when he was younger. He acknowledged he was knowledgeable about running the store, but he told Brian right away that one of the first things he learned from working at different locations is that not all 7-Elevens are created equal. Each store had its own culture, and David had to unlearn practices from previous stores and adapt to the new environment. And while doing his best job, after college, where he earned a marketing degree, David decided to open his own 7-Eleven franchise, and he had a theory. David believed that operating a 7-Eleven was comparable to working in marketing. And he felt that as a store owner, in many ways, he is also a marketing manager. So when he decided to open a store, he became curious about how much of his marketing education he could apply to running it. As he shared his story, he realized uh, that he was managing a 7-Eleven from a product perspective. That's when it clicked for me. Product management and marketing really do share a common goal: the customer. The big difference as I see it is that the product manager oversees what gets built, guiding the product or gilding the product from idea to inception to launch, while marketers focus on how it's launched and how it's sold. I'd say they play on the same team, but concentrate on different parts of the game. So as Brian continued his story, I started taking my notes on my own product management lessons, and it was becoming clearer to me that in many ways a store owner is just like a product manager. And that's what the product, and what's the product David is managing at a 7-Eleven. It's more, a lot more than soda, beer, or any other chewing gum that you can buy there. Um, when a store owner enters into agreement with 7-Eleven corporate, according to the franchise owner, they're sold on the idea that profitability will come quickly, thanks to the strength of a familiar brand. But as David observed early as a sales associate, he realized that brand recognition was only a small part of what made the convenience store thrive. He kept thinking running a business like this requires one skill set, but what about the product management side? For a store like this to succeed, it would mean that the owner would have to aim for high efficiency, output, and revenue goals. And unless I'm mistaken, that's what business operations looks like as a whole. But what does a product manager in a store like that really look like? Well, as a product manager, a store owner manages how convenience is delivered in order to optimize the satisfaction among their customers, all to create as many super customers as possible. This included four keywords: convenience, satisfaction, customers, and super customers. But how do you actually product manage convenience? It can be managed by focusing on a combination of elements such as store location, product variety, product availability, the quality of the product, physical and online services that you offer as a ways and a means for the store to, get to their consumers in the most efficient way. But that last point is particularly important, especially during a pandemic. So I remember, as we've all seen, businesses like Target or McDonald's, they quickly adapted to using apps to offer shopping and delivery service experiences. Even pharmacies jumped in, providing their services through apps and websites. But as my friend raised these points, I couldn't help but notice something familiar about them. I mentioned this to him and he smiled, explaining why. These elements happen to align with the principles of user experience. For those who don't know, user experience principles are guidelines used to create products that provide the right kinds of experiences for users. They focus on usability, functionality, and how the users feel and respond. Here's a quick rundown of the principles. Discoverability: users should easily find the features they need. Feedback: users should get immediate and understandable responses for their actions. Consistency: design elements and behavior should be uniform throughout the interaction and interface. Simplicity: keep things simple and free from unnecessary elements. Affordance: design elements should indicate how an object can be used, like buttons that look clickable. Accessibility ensures that all users, including any with disabilities, could effectively use your product. Efficiency: users should be able to complete tasks quickly and easily. Error prevention: minimize errors and make it easy to recover if a mistake should happen. Flexibility and customization: allow users to customize their experience or choose how the tasks are performed. Create a visual hierarchy. Guide users to the most important information with clear visual cues. User control and freedom: users should feel in control of the system and not get trapped in unwanted states. And emotional design: evoke positive emotional responses for a memorable and satisfying experience. It was then explained how the elements that David managed in a store align with UX principles. Every decision, from the store's location to the availability of products, it was all about creating a good experience for the customer. So I guess if you can figure out how to align all those things: store location, product variety, product availability, product quality, the use of physical and digital services, that you can really make the argument that managing a convenience store comes down to applying basic UX principles in a physical space. I've never looked at it that way, but man, it makes perfect sense. It's the alignment between convenience and UX principles that goes way beyond what you might have imagined. I was totally surprised what I learned when I had this discussion, and as I kept listening, it hit me. Convenience is the user experience. After all, that's what it's about. It's creating a seamless and satisfying experience for your end user. So, when it comes to convenience stores, yes, they have top selling product categories like non alcoholic drinks or tobacco products, but what stands out among the successful stores is a clear pattern. They're located in communities where personal relationships with the store have been built. The connection these kinds of stores have made with the local community is often just as important as the products that they sell. That's why, as a product manager, the most important product your store must manage, other than convenience, is called the super customer relationship. Because the more super customers you have, the higher the average customer lifetime value is for the store. Customer lifetime value, or CLV, is a term marketing experts use to not only understand the long term value of a customer, but to also determine profitability. It's a way to help businesses figure out how much revenue a customer can generate over the course of a relationship with them. For example, if the CLV of a customer is high, marketers can justify spending more on targeted ads, promotions, and loyalty programs or personalized offer to keep that customer coming back. By knowing CLV, businesses can figure out how much to spend on acquiring new customers and how much effort to put into retaining the existing ones. Then you can explain how the approach wasn't about keeping shelves stocked or running day to day operations. They had a much deeper strategy in mind in the 7-Eleven. And he focused on understanding regular customers, the super customers. Those were the people who kept coming back often, and he believed that they were the key to the store's success. So instead of trying to attract every person who drove by, he tailored the experience to those customers, knowing that building loyalty with them would drive consistent revenue. It was many years later when the owner discovered he was a UX designer and realized that the same principle could be applied in UX and product management. Product design success can also come from catering to your super customers just as much as attracting new ones. To this day, you might admit that you appreciate the time you spent working in a convenience store with the wisdom you got, but those lessons stick with you, especially when you're working on a new UX project. Because of that experience, one might close with this quote: whether in a physical store or a digital like an app or a website, the thought process is the same. How can we make things easier and more satisfying for our customer? Because after all, our goal is to generate trust and turn that trust into super customers, the ones who will keep coming back again and again and again. That's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at agiledad.com. We'd love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay happy, and stay well, my friends. Until next time, do take care.